Yo, what's going on YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at that Western Canadian rivalry. It's heating up a little bit here. 3 games into the series between the Vancouver Canucks and the Edmonton Oilers. The Canucks have the lead. We're going to take a look at that in today's video. So looking at the first 3 games of this series, it's been very interesting because, you know, at the end of the first round, we kept criticizing the Oilers' inability to score 5-on-5. And their power play was playing really well. And for the Canucks, they were getting 20 shots a night. Or they were just getting 20 shots a night and finding a way to survive. But there was no way they would be able to do that against a team like the Oilers. There was no way they could continue to take penalties and kill them off against the Edmonton Oilers. Well, they've been able to do that. And with Artur Silovs kind of at the helm, and a lot of you guys have been saying King Artur himself, he has been incredible. I will admit, I don't like throwing this around very lightly, but this could potentially be the next Matt Murray situation. A guy comes in, he plays very few games in the NHL, and then he comes into the playoffs and just performs like a maniac. And that looks like Artur Silovs right now. Now, a lot of that is to the credit of the goalie coach there in Vancouver. He is a very profound, well-known, well-experienced, well-trained head coach there, goalie coach. I think he developed Bobrovsky, Luongo, Thatcher Demko, and now Artur Silovs and Casey DeSmith. And so I wanted to give a quick shout-out to him for that, because he definitely needs some credit here. But what's interesting is, if you told me that the beginning of this series that the third string goalie of the Canucks would be out-dueling Stuart Skinner, I would get a lot of hate from Oilers fans, A. And B, I wouldn't believe you. But here we are, Artur Silovs stealing a game for the Canucks. Now, they definitely got their licks in. The Oilers did get 3 goals in this game on 45 shots, but that's still 42 saves overall by Artur Silovs. And they were quality saves. And they were, and I talk about this a lot. You need to give up less goals than the other goalie, right? Because math. And then there's the other aspect of the swings of momentum. Stuart Skinner gave up goals at very bad times. Like, there's never a good time to give up a goal. But there are times in this series where Stuart Skinner will you're like, oh man, like, that was a bad time for a goal. And it really sunk the momentum. And that happened a lot in Game 3. Now, I will admit, watching the first period, when Edmonton got that first goal, I thought that was it. I thought, all right, here come the Oilers. They're going to win this game 5-3. But the Canucks kind of flipped the script, and they continued that mentality of, we're down in this game, but we're going to dig ourselves out of it. And who better than Brock Boeser getting another 2-goal period. He didn't end up completing the hat trick, but Elias Lindholm said, you know what, I'll help you out a little bit. And Elias Lindholm got a pair of goals himself in this game. So it's that scoring by committee that we keep talking about with the Canucks, that this is the type of team that, they're not the best regular season team. Yeah, they were an incredible matchup against the Oilers during the regular season, but you just didn't know how that would correlate in the playoffs. And it has. And the Canucks, as dominant as they were over the Oilers, I think they outscored the Oilers 21-7 during the regular season. We're starting to see that kind of come to fruition here in the playoffs, but on a bigger stage when it really matters. And Elias Lindholm has really come into form. Like I said, Boeser's getting on the board. It takes a little bit of the pressure off JT Miller. We still haven't been talking much about Elias Pettersson, but hopefully that picks up at some point. But he hasn't even needed to, because you know what? Dakota Joshua is scoring goals and being nasty in front of the net and causing problems. And Zadorov, we know what Zadorov does and all that stuff. This is going to be a highly contested series. And I know going into Game 4, I think the Canucks, I don't know if it was on purpose, they made a very critical mistake at the end of Game 3. Carson Soucy comes behind Connor McDavid behind the net. I'm sure you guys have seen the clip. And Carson Soucy goes to cross-check Connor McDavid. Meanwhile, face-to-face, Zadorov goes to cross-check McDavid at the same exact time. Soucy pushes McDavid in. McDavid kind of falls over right into the stick of Nikita Zadorov. And it was pretty bad. And I think that the Oilers are going to be a little bit more fired up going into Game 4. And I know that a lot of Canucks fans are excited, and they definitely should be, because they stole a game here that they deserve to win, but this is a game that could have very easily, early on, could have gone the other way. And I just wonder how the Oilers respond. Like, Evander Kane's been very quiet this series. Does he get going now? Does he start, like, just throwing the body around and being just a pest? Maybe that's what he needs to do at this point, because he's not producing, and his best alternative is to kind of get aggressive and maybe defend his teammates here. Because this is one of those things where McDavid, that was a pretty good punch, and Draisaitl's taken a couple pretty tough licks in this series. I just wonder if we're going to see the Oilers play the villain card the rest of this series to get their way back into it, because the Canucks have been outplaying them and just finding ways to win. Even though they aren't playing their best, they're still finding ways to win. And again, for the Oilers, the other thing too, Stuart Skinner hasn't been his best, but you know what? The defense hasn't been great in front of him. The power play has dried up for the Oilers a little bit. And they're not getting the depth scoring. I talked about this like a month before the playoffs, and I said in a video, why the Oilers will not win a Stanley Cup. And I got so much heat from Oilers fans. Hopefully some of you are still watching this channel and maybe watching this video. But I kind of said that this Oilers team, in all the versions and iterations we've seen, it always comes down to Draisaitl and McDavid. And if anything else comes onto the board, that's great, but they don't get enough done. We're seeing it again here. McDavid had a 4-point game in Game 2. Yeah, Game 2. He had a 4-point game. Game 3, he's still playing well and producing alongside Draisaitl, but where's the depth? Where's the goals from your bottom 6 when you need it most? And it's not happening for the Oilers again. And the goaltending isn't playing well again. Have we seen this story before? Am I crazy? I don't know. I think a lot of people were hoping it would be a different year for the Oilers. Let's see how they respond after the McDavid cross-check. Maybe that's the fire that lights up and gets them going. I don't know. But they got to do something here, because the Canucks, they're kind of taking liberties here at the Oilers, and they're beating them and frustrating them at their own game. And they're scoring the opportunistic goals. They're getting the production from Miller at points. Besser and Elias Lindholm have been incredible. Like I said, they're getting that depth scoring from guys like Pia Suter, Dakota Joshua, the guys you wouldn't expect to be scoring. But that is the small margins. That is the difference between 3-2 Canucks or 4-3 Oilers. And for the Oilers, they haven't been able to get those extra goals from the depth. And that's ultimately what the problem is. And maybe they fix it. They should win Game 4. They should go back to Vancouver with the chance to go home for Game 6, up 3-2. That is all attainable here for the Edmonton Oilers. Absolutely. But they got to find a way to win Game 4. Because if they have to go back to Vancouver down 3-1, I do not like their odds there. And even if they find a way to win that, the Canucks now have confidence playing on the road at Edmonton because they won Game 3. And then, best case scenario, now you're looking at a Game 7 back in Vancouver. Now you got to strike twice in Vancouver. That is not easy to do. It's not impossible. It's definitely difficult. And if the Oilers want to go on a deep playoff run, fiddling around with the Canucks probably isn't a good idea, because the Canucks are capable of, it's not like the Kings. This is a team that can beat the Oilers and beat them potentially convincingly. We'll see how the rest of the series goes. I don't want to get ahead of myself. But I want to know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Do you guys think maybe they should they not start Stuart Skinner for Game 4? Because Jack Campbell is available. Do they end up going to Jack Campbell? Is this the kind of the Joker arc per se for Jack Campbell? He comes in cold and finds a way to get it done. It's happened before, but then again, we've seen times in the past where they continue to go with Stuart Skinner like they did in the playoffs last year, and they ultimately lost. And Jack Campbell was coming in relief, playing well, and you kind of ask yourself, well, maybe they should have started Jack Campbell, and they didn't. It's one of those things that is not easy. That's why coaches get paid a lot of money. That's why Chris Knobloch's making pretty good money, because this is not an easy decision to make. But I want to know what you guys think down below. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace out, guys.